If you're thinking about buying a home in Oregon, especially in the Portland metro area, there are a few mistakes that I see buyers make over and over again that can end up costing them a massive amount of money, stress, and regret later. And honestly, some of these mistakes don't show up immediately. Sometimes buyers don't realize that they made the wrong decision until 6 months later, or even years later. And maybe they stretched themselves too thin financially, maybe they bought in the wrong neighborhood, maybe they didn't fully understand the condition of the home when they purchased it. Or maybe they got so emotional during negotiations that they ignored risks that they normally would have cared about. And the thing is, a lot of this is avoidable if you understand what to look for before buying. So in this video, I want to walk you through some of the biggest mistakes I see buyers making here in Oregon, especially first-time buyers and relocation buyers, and hopefully help you avoid some of the expensive problems later. If we haven't met before, my name is Steven Tran. I'm a real estate broker and investor serving the Portland metro area and Southwest Washington, and every single year I help buyers relocate here and navigate this exact process. And if you're thinking about buying in Oregon, please make sure to subscribe because I post weekly videos about living here, buying real estate here, investing here in Oregon, and what you should know before you make a move. And if this video helps you at all, please go ahead and hit that like button because it really helps this reach more people who are researching the same thing. And if you're actively thinking about buying, feel free to reach out to me anytime. You can call or text me at 971-285-2002 or email me at steven@diverserg.com. Okay, so one of the biggest mistakes that I see buyers make is becoming house poor. And honestly, this is one of the most important topics in this entire video because it affects the quality of life every single month after you buy the home. A lot of buyers start the process by asking, what is the maximum amount I can get approved for? And technically, that makes sense. Everyone wants to know what they qualify for. But the problem is that buyers treat that number like a target instead of a ceiling. And there's a huge difference between what a lender says that you technically qualify for and what actually feels comfortable for your lifestyle long term. Because once you own the home, real life starts happening. You want to travel, you'll want to save some money, you'll still want to invest, you'll want the flexibility in your life. And buyers often underestimate how expensive home ownership can actually be outside of the mortgage payment itself. Especially in Oregon, where property taxes can vary dramatically depending on the area. Two homes that are very similar in purchase price can have completely different monthly ownership costs because of taxes, HOA dues, utilities, and maintenance. And maintenance becomes a really big deal with home ownership, especially older homes. You might suddenly need a roof repair, do some plumbing work, you might replace your HVAC at some point, or doing sewer repairs, and those things are very expensive. I've seen buyers stress themselves so far financially that one unexpected expense suddenly becomes really devastating. And that's not how home ownership should feel. I always tell buyers, your house should support your life, not control your life. And a really good lender should help you understand what payment actually fits your lifestyle comfortably and not just what you technically qualify for. And honestly, the buyers who are happiest long term are usually the buyers who left themselves breathing room financially after closing. Another major mistake that buyers make is focusing way too much on the house itself and not enough on the neighborhood. This happens all the time because buyers get really emotional about homes very quickly. Let's just imagine, you walk into a beautifully staged house with natural light, just like this, and a really nice kitchen, and suddenly you start imagining your future there. But one thing that buyers need to remember is, you can change almost every single thing about a house. You can go ahead and you remodel the kitchen, you can repaint the walls, you can update your bathrooms, but the one thing you can't change is you cannot change the location. And location affects every single part of your life every single day. This affects your commute, your access to restaurants, your access to parks. It also affects your future resale value and your appreciation potential. And one thing I always encourage buyers to think about is not just what an area looks like today, but where is it headed over the next 5 to 10 years? Are there going to be new businesses moving in? Are there new developments happening around in the area? Are there new restaurants and amenities? Are the restaurants and amenities in the area improving? Are people wanting to move there? Because appreciation usually follows demand. And we've seen this happen heavily in places like Beaverton, Hillsborough, Ridgefield, Happy Valley, and also parts of Vancouver. School districts matter as well, even for buyers without children, because stronger school districts often maintain stronger demand long term. And another thing buyers underestimate is commute fatigue. Sometimes people move further out because they can get more square footage or newer construction. But then, 6 months later, they realize they hate driving an extra hour every single day. So when you're buying, you really need to think about your actual lifestyle long term and not just the excitement of the house itself. Okay, this is another huge one in Oregon because Portland has a lot of older homes. Some of these homes are extremely beautiful. They have character, beautiful architecture, mature neighborhoods, and details that you just don't see in newer homes. But buyers need to understand that older homes often come with different risks. And every single era of construction tends to come with its own common issues. For example, homes built before 1978 may contain lead paint. And also, even older homes may contain asbestos in their flooring, insulation, siding, or ceilings. Older homes also may have galvanized plumbing, which corrodes internally over time, and very old homes may have knob and tube wiring. Some homes have plaster walls instead of drywall, which can make renovations extremely more difficult and expensive. And buyers need to understand that inspections are visual inspections. Inspectors are not opening up your walls. They're evaluating visible systems and signs of larger issues. And honestly, every single home should be inspected, including new construction. I've had clients buying brand new homes where inspections uncover sewer issues, drainage problems, improperly installed systems, and missing installation. Construction workers are human, and mistakes happen as well. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see buyers make in competitive markets. And honestly, I understand why it happens. Buyers, they lose one house, then another, and eventually they start feeling the pressure to become more aggressive. They start hearing, the winning offer waived inspections. The buyer waived their appraisal. This buyer removed contingencies. And then my buyers started thinking, do I need to do something risky just to compete? And now sometimes aggressive terms absolutely can help you win. And that's reality. That's definitely the truth. But buyers need to fully understand the risks that they're taking before removing protections from their contract. Because contingencies exist for a reason. They protect you, the buyer. Okay, let's start with inspections. For example, in Oregon, buyers typically get about 10 business days, not including holidays or weekends, after mutual acceptance to investigate the property. And this is where buyers uncover things like roof issues, plumbing leaks, foundation concerns, HVAC problems, mold, electrical issues, sewer problems. And remember that inspectors are not opening up the walls. So even with inspectors, there's always some level of unknown risks. Now, just imagine that a buyer waives their inspection entirely. What they're essentially saying is, I am buying this property without fully investigating it first. And that can become really financially risky. Because once you close, those problems become your responsibility. This becomes especially important in Portland because sewer issues are extremely common in older homes. And a standard inspection does not automatically include a sewer scope. You're gonna have to add that on. I almost always recommend adding sewer scopes on older homes because tree roots are incredibly common here, and sewer repairs can easily cost $10,000 to $20,000 or more. I've literally seen buyers save themselves massive financial headaches because they spent just a few $100s on getting a sewer scope before closing. Radon is another thing buyers should think about in Oregon and Washington because radon is a naturally occurring gas that can enter homes through foundation and crawl spaces. You can't actually see it, you can't smell it, and certain areas have higher radon levels than others. And that's why buyers often test for it during inspections. And also, if you see elevated levels, mitigation systems can be recommended. But again, this is why your contingencies matter. You want the ability to fully understand what you're buying before you fully commit. Okay, now, there's a really big difference between shortening an inspection period and completely waiving it. Sometimes buyers shorten inspections from 10 business days to 5 or 7 days. And this helps because from the seller's perspective, the inspection contingency is one of the biggest opportunities for a deal to fall apart. The shorter that timeline is, the more confident the seller feels that the deal is moving forward. But also, more importantly, the buyer still maintains some protection, which is way different from waiving inspections entirely. You should talk to your realtor or me if they feel confident about shortening this period, but also getting your full inspection and any follow-ups and doing your negotiations in that period. Okay, now let's talk about your appraisal contingency. So even if you agree to buy a house at a certain price, the lender still sends out for an appraisal if you get it financed. And if the appraisal comes in lower than the agreed upon purchase price, now there's a gap. And this is where buyers often get themselves in trouble. Because if you waive an appraisal protection or add large appraisal gap coverage, you suddenly need to bring significantly more cash into the transaction than expected. Some buyers don't fully understand what happens when you waive an appraisal contingency. They often think, hopefully it appraises, but the truth is, what do you do if it doesn't? You may suddenly need tens of thousands of dollars of additional dollars to make this deal work. Earnest money is another thing that buyers misunderstand. Your earnest money is your good faith deposit showing the seller that you're serious about this home. And in Oregon, it's commonly about 1 to 3% of the purchase price. Now here's the important part. Your earnest money is generally protected while your contingencies are still active. But once your contingencies are removed, that money can potentially be at risk if the buyer fails to close. And I think buyers sometimes remove contingencies emotionally without fully understanding how exposed they become financially. This one is emotional, and honestly, it happens constantly. I have buyers walk into a beautiful house and immediately start imagining their futures there. And once that emotional attachment happens, buyers stop evaluating the deal logically. Suddenly, they start rationalizing things that they normally wouldn't accept. Maybe the commute is worse than they wanted. Maybe the inspection uncovered expensive repairs. Maybe the neighborhood isn't actually the best fit long term. And because they emotionally committed already, they start overlooking these problems. This is where having a strong agent matters a lot. Because my job isn't just helping buyers win the house, it's helping buyers slow down and evaluate the full picture logically. Sometimes buyers need someone to help them step back and ask, is this really the right house for you? Is this really the right price? And where do we have leverage in the negotiations? Also, what risks are acceptable here and which ones are not? Because every seller situation is different. Sometimes sellers are extremely motivated. Maybe the home has been sitting on the market longer than expected. Maybe they already bought another house and they're stuck with their current mortgage. Maybe inspection issues might give us some leverage. And then also, maybe there are terms that we can negotiate beyond just price. A good agent should constantly be evaluating all of that while still trying to land you the house. Because the goal isn't just winning, the goal is getting you the best possible deal while still protecting you as the buyer. Another mistake buyers make is thinking only what works for them today instead of thinking about how the home fits in their long-term life and financial picture. Your life constantly changes. People change jobs, people get married, people have kids, people have to relocate, and sadly, health situations change as well. And buyers need to think about flexibility long-term. Could this home become a rental later if needed? Could you rent out rooms? Will this home still work in 5 to 10 years? Do you have reserves after closing? And other things you might not think about, such as, do you have life insurance to protect your family if something unexpected happens? Should you eventually think about estate planning or trust once you start building assets? Because I'll tell you that buying a home is really emotional, but it's also one of the biggest long-term financial decisions that you'll ever make. And the buyers who usually end up the happiest long-term are the ones who bought with flexibility, financial breathing room, and realistic expectations about life changing over time. This is where having the right agent matters, because my job isn't about opening doors and writing contracts. It's honestly about helping buyers like you evaluate risk, understand the different neighborhoods, structure smart offers, negotiate strategically, and avoid expensive mistakes. So I'm curious, what part of buying a home feels the most intimidating to you? Is it the budget, repairs, neighborhood selections? Please let me know in the comments. And so, if you're thinking about buying in Oregon or the Portland metro area, that's exactly what I help people with every single year. You can call or text me at 971-285-2002 or email me at steven@diverserg.com. And if you found this video helpful, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and also share it with someone who's thinking about buying a home in Oregon or Washington. If you want to understand the full home buying process in Oregon, I'm going to put that video right here on the screen. So go watch that next. So I'll say this, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.